distinguished gentleman from Utah's 3rd District, Jason Chaffetz, is pointing his constituents, including me, in the direction of House Minority Leader John Boehner's website, where we find a report prepared by CRA International. The 63-page document purports to be an analysis of the economic impact of the American Clean Energy and Security Act of 2009, aka the Waxman-Markey bill. Now, I'm all for impact analyses and looking before we take a legislative leap, so I gave Jason the benefit of a doubt and took a look at the report. One concern of Waxman-Markey had by its critics is the impact it will have on jobs in the United States. And this analysis attempts to predict employment trends in the country for the next 21 years. Wait a minute, that can't be right. 21 years? This report is projecting changes in the economic and employment landscape in the year 2030 to within tenths of a percent, all as a result of cap-and-trade legislation. That's 21 years from now, as in 21 years in the future. Let us consider for a moment the economic and cultural paradigm shifts that have occurred in the last 21 years. In 1988, hardly anyone knew what the internet was, so it would have been impossible to predict the dot-com revolution and the bust that followed it. The World Wide Web was invented in 1989. You did know that there's a difference between the internet and the World Wide Web, right? No one in 1988 could have predicted the browser wars, and consider the jobs that exist today that weren't even conceived of in 1988. I looked these up on Craigslist. Web designer, IT manager, online marketing consultant, web graphics developer, IT field technician, land administrator, web coordinator. I could go on, but I really don't have that much time. And what about government legislation over the last 20 years that's had profound effects on our culture and the economy, like repealing parts of the Glass-Steagall Act in 1999? A lot of people think this was a major contributor to the subprime mortgage crisis. Consider the grossly inaccurate predictions that were made about the future and all the failed technologies from the last 21 years, like network computers, the paperless office, pets.com. In 1997, the computer industry was convinced that Apple Computer was moribund and on its way out. It was no longer relevant to the computer industry or society. Considering the magnitude of the technological and cultural changes in our society over the last 21 years, and the fact that technology is still advancing at exponential rates, and our economy is evolving with it just as quickly, I don't think anyone can realistically know what the economic and employment outlook is going to be in 5 years, regardless of what legislation is passed, be it cap and trade or healthcare reform. And the GOP is talking about predicting employment numbers in the year 2030 within tenths of a percent. In 20 years, Americans are going to have jobs that haven't even been imagined yet. This report is based on an economic model that assumes that our economy is static and doesn't change over time. That may have been true before the Industrial Revolution. But any economist worth his salt will tell you that economies are as complex and unpredictable as any living organism, or a hurricane for that matter. I've thought long and hard about this, and I've come to a conclusion. There is only one way that the estimates in this report can be even remotely accurate when projected to the year 2030. CRA International must have a time machine. I know, it's ridiculous. And at a time when I thought I couldn't possibly take the Republican Party any less seriously.